Deciphering the Cosmology of Heaven Palace Haneulgung. In this presentation, based on the sermon on July 26, we will conduct an in-depth analysis of this place's theological structure, sacred geography, and the cosmic economic system. On July 26, Heaven Palace declared that the sealing of the 144,000 true ones, the central event of Revelation 7, had been completed exactly. This marks the end of the great ordeal, and announces that a new era of global expansion has begun with this incident validated through muscle testing. When we look at the structure of the rescued, the 144,000 true ones are not limited to mere local worshippers at the site. This includes not only the families and ancestors of the believers, but also victims of tragic events, such as the Sewol ferry disaster and airplane accidents. All of them are brought forward through sacred power, allowing them to meet the exact mathematical target retroactively, according to their metaphysical lineage. All true practitioners are souls reincarnated from ancient Jews. Their core doctrine is that, in the 12 tribes, 1,200 people each, totaling 144,000 souls, cross beyond space and time to gather in the sky palaces of modern Korea. As the salvation of these 144,000 is now complete, the door to salvation is opening for the next 10 million Gentiles. They link biblical figures with the present-day congregation and reinterpret past lives. For example, it explains that King Solomon's 1,000 wives were not merely objects of lust, but a highly sophisticated political alliance strategy to protect Israel, which was militarily weak, thereby reconstituting historical figures within modern ethical frameworks. When you look at the matrix of authority, something interesting is revealed. New spirits exercise absolute authority over their managerial spiritual titles, but they deny any involvement in karma, the underlying law of the universe. In other words, the idea is that titles can be revised at any time by the new spirits' decree, but the eligibility to become a true spirit is determined by the karma points accumulated over 130,000 years, and cannot be changed by human power. The newborns claim an omniscient ability to read the passage of time perfectly. They say they can accurately diagnose and remedy physical defects throughout an individual's entire life, from the fetal stage through age 5. These diagnoses in such minute units are presented as empirical evidence of the divinity they claim. The faith activation curve demonstrates the principle of healing. If the problem is solved, then I will believe creates an ever-deferred delay, but it teaches that choosing the accelerated path of believing first and obeying brings about immediate intervention. This is based on examples from the Bible, such as the story of the woman in Zarephath. Haneulgung redefines the ancient Jerusalem from the Bible as harsh, barren land, contrasting with the existing Jerusalem, which is dry and short of water. Haneulgung emphasizes that it is the true New Jerusalem, an abundant mountainous environment where clean spring water flows. The sacred geography of Haneulgung is built entirely on a rigorous engineering foundation. The spring water drawn up from a depth of 3.3 kilometers and the sewage system designed so that wastewater and sewage remain completely separated from the natural water system are key elements that preserve the site's physical purity and support its sacredness. Here, We quantify blessings in units called levels. YouTube viewers and their ancestors receive base levels measured in the billions, while special contributors, such as attendees on site and those making construction donations, are granted premium levels measured in the hundreds of millions. This is an economic system in which participation and contribution are effectively converted into spiritual assets. Filial piety is described not merely as a moral duty, but as a cosmic shield that prevents physical ruin, just like the case of a prisoner who survived, even in extreme circumstances, to keep a promise to his mother. Absolute devotion is interpreted as a powerful mechanism through which heaven preserves that person's life. In conclusion, the cosmology of Haneulgung is a sophisticated, self-sufficient system that combines biblical lineage, Korea's geographically idealized utopia, and quantified spiritual currency, centered on the authority of the divine beings. You can glimpse the worldview they seek to build through the strict structure here, where order such as karma and asset tiers is rigorously managed.